high-end product, not high-end product, but one that's very known by all of us. And we all, well, not all of us, but most of us do shower with it or shower with some type of soap. But when we're showering or cleansing ourselves or even putting lotion on, we don't even realize where this is manufactured or more importantly, what it's tested on. So today I'm going to be talking about animal testing from the diversity of medical resources to cosmetic resources, and also talking about the effects that they get and the conditions. And some pictures might be a little graphic, but I tried to stay on the less graphic side. The animals that are involved are usually monkeys, dogs, cats, rats, mice, but most of them are usually mice and rats. And according to an article by Alicia Qatar, 95% of all animals that are used in the U.S. are actually rats and mice. And also rabbits are also accustomed to being used in testing. And from 1997 to 2012, the use of animals in laboratories went up 73%. And a lot of these testings are also done in university and high-end universities such as like Harvard and Yale. There's a law called the Animal Welfare Act, and they're supposed to protect the animals, but for some reason the mice and reptiles and rats actually don't fall under this law. So that's also why so many of them are used in laboratories. And they also say that you can use anesthetics for the animals while performing on them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, which is why when experiments or tests are done on them, they're usually still alive and conscious enough to be aware of what's going on around them. When people are asked, when they're asked to receive documents from these places that do testings, a lot of them refuse because they kind of don't have they don't have to give you any of these documents. But some of them do have documents that you can see, but they'll charge like $800 for you to receive them just to know what's going on behind the laboratories. Some animals that are received, like the bigger ones, like dogs and cats, are usually found from dog pounds or shelters. And these shelters receive the animals from like breeding places, such as like puppy mills, which is just a bunch of dogs everywhere, and the conditions are really bad, and they're like stepping in their own feces and stuff like that. The different types of testing that is done on these animals can be from medical to research and cosmetics. With cosmetics, they usually put things in their eye or they rub them in their skin. And for research purposes, sometimes they can put conditions that us humans can have and put them into the animal to see how they react and what kind of cures they can create for it. The conditions are usually closed and confinements, and they're also exposed to a lot of toxic fumes, and they're also abused while they're aware of what's going on, and sometimes they're restrained and they're not able to move. And there's a lot of videos that you can find on PETA.org, which is an organization that actually goes undercover into these laboratories. And they've filmed the things that go on there, and they're pretty graphic and pretty sad to watch. Some effects that these animals might have is that they become really bored from being solitary by themselves. And sometimes because they're so stressed, they'll just run around in circles because they just don't know how to handle it. And although they're not humans, they do feel what's going on with them, and they do have ways to cope with it, but they just can't express it with words like we can. So ways that you can actually help or just be involved if you're interested, which you should because animals do suffer a lot. There's a lot of campaigns that happen, and actually on the Third Street Promenade, there's a store called Lush, which is a very famous cosmetic stores that sell their products, but they're not tested on any animals, and they're usually really organic. And they actually have a campaign where they set up an actress, and they kind of like torture her just the same way they do as animals, and people will walk by and watch the show, and then they'll sign a campaign. There's also a club here at SMC called Care Club, which they usually do also go to like shelters and volunteer and stuff like that, and they're very aware of helping animals that are being tortured. And also when you're buying products, like especially cosmetic products, you can look in the back, and sometimes they'll say not tested on animals. So just try to strive for that, and if you can, stay away from products that may be testing on animals.